Hello, my name is Jumana Abdurrahman. I'm a Palestinian tattoo artist and multifaceted artist based out of Amman, Jordan. And today I wanted to take you guys on a full 2025 through current sketchbook tour in honor of the Lunar New Year. I've been sick for like the past few days, and I've been planning to do the sketchbook tour for a while, but I'm finally feeling better and I'm excited to take y'all through. If you're a patron on my Patreon, thank you. You're what makes the videos like these possible, but you've probably already seen this sketchbook before. I've talked about it a lot, but I don't think I've gone through it start to finish, especially now that I've finished it. So I'm really excited to take you through on this. So let's go. So this is my sketchbook from 2025. You can see it's kind of hanging on for dear life. I had to tape it to keep the cover from falling off, and that's how you know it's a really good sketchbook. Like I said, if you've been a patron on my Patreon, you've probably seen me go through the sketchbook a little bit, but I haven't taken anybody through all the way. So let's start. I like to customize my sketchbook with some stickers, put my name. You can pause to read any of these, but I'm kind of just going to go through and talk a little bit about the sketchbook. So the purpose of the sketchbook was to strengthen up some skills that I had learned previously but hadn't been working to keep up with, and you can see a lot of just notes, practice. For context, this was done in the beginning of 2025, and I had realized that like I hadn't kept and maintained a sketchbook in a while, and part of that is due to the genocide in Palestine. I realized like, wow, I haven't had an outlet to express myself, and I haven't felt compelled to. So I was really proud to get this sketchbook. I bought one really cheap so that I didn't feel bad about like drawing like shit in there, I guess. And one thing about like when I draw in sketchbooks is that I let myself draw like shit. I don't treat it like an art gallery. And as you can see, these were some emotions that I was feeling at the time. Like I wanted to scream. This was probably one of the darkest times of my life, and I decided that it was time to pick up my sketchbook again. So just like a lot of practice drawings. I don't really like drawing in pencil because, as you can see, it smudges. Akira is my favorite anime comic movie, biggest inspiration as an artist at this point. I would take my sketchbook everywhere with me, to the coffee shop, to events out, and really just try and sketch everything I saw. So these are observational sketches along with a scene from Akira, that's Tetsuo. Like I said, my sketchbook is not an art gallery. It's a lot of just experimenting and letting myself run free. I used to live at the beach, and I would take myself to the beach almost every day. Here I am experimenting with different types of pens, and I really love brush pens now. I'm very glad that I experimented with it. My sketchbook is also kind of like a little personal journal at times. This is another Akira spread. I really love Akira. I'm very inspired by this movie. If you haven't watched it, I've talked about it a lot previously. Please do watch it. This was my view out of my old apartment that I used to live in Corpus Christi, Texas. I didn't get to finish it because I was getting bit by so many mosquitoes at the time, but this literally is what my view was. Here we have some line studies. I recommend doing this. Just get yourself comfortable with making all sorts of different lines. And this is I want to say like 2 months apart from the first box study that I did. So like, let's look at that. No, this is a month apart. So in a month of daily sketching, I feel like you can really see the improvement. I didn't finish this because it's really fucking boring to do, but look up box studies. And if you would like to strengthen your perspective skills, I would highly recommend doing this. This is a coffee roaster from a coffee shop in Corpus. And so when I realized that I was going to be moving countries, I decided that I was going to try and sketch as many things from life as I could to keep memory of my experience in my time there. Some of these sketches are not safe for work, so just if you're out in public, I'm an artist. That's what we do. We draw. I really like this one. You can see a lot of like whiteout though. Used a lot of whiteout. This is Japan, little storefront, and I was like, oh, that's so awesome. I want to try and draw that. This is Crusher Joe, another animated anime movie that I really love and am inspired by. I want to say this is China. This is somewhere in China. And these are just some ideas that I had for Muhammad Darwish poem. Drawing random shapes and stuff like that. I never got to finish this, but I would like to come back to it. And so you'll see I like write little personal notes just so I remember like where I was at in the time that I drew this, or maybe notes about like how in this one I felt like I needed to be looser with my pen. So you'll see in the next spread, I really was like, you know what, fuck it. I'm gonna be loose with the pen. I don't care if it looks like shit. Sometimes you have to draw like shit to be able to draw good. This was my cat Bandit. Like I said, I would take my sketchbook out everywhere and just do really quick doodles. And so these were people at like a coffee shop that I had seen, with some random shapes and stuff like that. Some more coffee shop doodles. Just flip through these, little sneak peek. Some people asked me to draw their portraits, so I drew their portraits real quick. Another coffee shop doodle. I was eating dinner and this lady was on her phone. This is my cat and my dog. Like I said, the genocide was going on full force, and it still is, but this was before the ceasefire. And I don't know if you guys remember that moment when there was like really limited supply of bread, and this was from a video that I saw of like Palestinians in Gaza reaching through a very small window trying to grab whatever bread that they could, and I was just absolutely horrified. And I didn't really have anything else to add on this day. I was just really speechless. Out for dinner, just kind of drawing things that I see. Another two people who had asked me to draw them. I think this lady is a wrestler, and I just thought her pose was really cool. Another Akira spread, and I think this is my favorite one. I love Kaneda and Tetsuo. Crusher Joe. This was my very messy shelf. I decided to draw it because I just wanted to remember this little moment of time when I lived in my apartment. And this is when I was preparing to move back to Jordan the first time before Israel started bombing Iran. And I took myself to the mall to do some really quick like sketches of people. They're not good, but like I said, they help you in the long run. So I was doing sketches of people. Some people, they like turned around and saw me, and then I had to stop and move away. This is one of those people. He like looked up and saw me drawing him, and he gave me this face. He looked like so disappointed in me, and I was like, dude, I'm just drawing you. But like, I went on the second floor and I was looking down at people and drawing them. So like, when are you gonna be able to get this kind of perspective in real life, you know? So I thought that was really fun. And then at this point, a security guard came up to me and she was like, what are you doing? I was like, I'm drawing people. And she's like, oh, okay, you're not doing anything weird, are you? I was like, no. I showed her my sketchbook and she's like, well, don't draw me. There was a lady getting her eyelashes done, and I was like, oh, this is the perfect opportunity to draw her. Like, she's getting her eyelashes done, she's not gonna like open her eyes. Nope, she opened them and looked right at me, and it was so weird. And then at this point, like, I was getting a lot of attention, so my sketches got quicker, and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go home. I didn't like this page, so I just pasted something on top of it. So as I was preparing to leave America, I was selling a lot of my possessions, all of my possessions, and these were some objects that I was like really sad to let go of. So I decided to draw them to keep them in my memory, which inspired this next page, which is a tattoo flash sheet, or ended up becoming some tattoo flash. And then, you know, just preparing my Arabi for when I go back home. This is my favorite coffee shop. I used to go there every day. Not really an exciting spread, but this was the laundromat that I used to go to. And I would get bored and I would try and draw it. I think you saw another iteration of the laundromat in another sketch. I decided to revisit the car sketch at the beach, and I drew my car from my perspective. I'm sitting here in the driver's seat with my sketchbook. This was at my favorite coffee shop. Then I introduced some watercolor into my sketchbook just to see how the pages would handle it, and I didn't really like how it looked. I was out for sushi on this day. I actually believe this was the day that Israel started bombing Iran, and all my moving plans changed. I was supposed to leave to Jordan in 3 months, and a lot of flights got canceled. I wasn't able to go anymore, and I felt really out of control of like where my life path was going, and I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna go get some sushi. Like, I can't control what's coming next, but I can control that I'm gonna get some sushi. So I went and got some sushi. This drawing, I just started letting my pen go and seeing like what would happen, and clearly processing like a lot of trauma of seeing all the martyrs in Palestine. And so to me, this is like a man laying on a hospital bed and everybody around him is praying, maybe for forgiveness, maybe for his soul. There he is closer. This is again at the same coffee shop, and this is the moment where I realized, like, this is the first sketchbook that I've dedicated myself to in a while. Like I said, the genocide, it changed everything. It changed everything. I don't know that I have the words to describe it, but like, I didn't feel like, I was just so depressed. I was so depressed. But I was really proud of myself that I started this sketchbook, and that my goal was to get to the end and to try and draw every day. And I don't know if you've been paying attention to the dates, but like, this sketchbook was started in the 3rd month of the year, and already 3 months in, and I was almost more than halfway through the sketchbook. This was a Tatriz resistance workshop with Shahida Nami. She's a Gaza-based writer, and so I just took some notes while I was there. I went to some antique stores and started drawing things that I was seeing, and then this was a statue that I did have and I ended up selling. And then I decided to revisit some portrait studies, so like from the beginning to now, I feel like you can see pretty big difference. Where is it? Yeah. So we've got some of these from the beginning. I wasn't really happy with them. I wasn't really feeling confident. And then here you can see I'm really getting into my confidence. And I'm using a rainbow pencil to draw all of these. I love my rainbow pencil. So at this point I'm feeling like really confident, and I wanted to push myself and kind of not just draw portraits, but like do something unique. And here I wrote, the harder you try to let go, the harder you hold on. And this time, you know, the flights were canceled, and I'm trying to figure out like where am I going, you know, what's happening next. I drew this coffee shop, and I decided to bring my Prismacolors and draw, and I really hated it at first, but honestly this drawing has grown on me. Some more portrait drawings. I really like this spread, I really do. And so during this time I'm thinking like, okay, if I can't go leave America right now, like where should I go? Maybe I should try and heal my relationship with Turtle Island and tattoo and explore Turtle Island. And I was thinking like maybe I'll go to North Carolina. I was also working on getting my passport renewed in America, my American passport, and little fun fact, not so fun fact, my passport got renewed and sent to me, mailed to me, and the mailman threw it in the trash. So that put another wrench in my plans. It took another 3 months to be able to get my passport. And that was a very like stressful and upsetting time, and I was just had a lot of thoughts of like, is my passport even gonna arrive? Like, what's happening with that? Motaz came to Texas. At the time I didn't see him, but I drew him. This is a woman from Iran. So I started incorporating my journaling, venting into my sketches, and I used to do that in my previous sketches and like in the previous sketchbooks that I had, but I hadn't had a sketchbook in a really long time, so I flipped through those old sketchbooks to kind of get some inspiration. I really love this spread, I really do. This woman is from Tunisia, and then this woman is from Yemen. Some more sketches. Beautiful woman. This is a self-portrait. And on this day, I had tattooed a kite, and then I wrote like a little note. I tattooed a kite today, and when I went to the beach, there was a kite, and that felt like really symbolic. Just some notes for myself. This is my dog and my cat, a blind contour. This day I hated everything that I was drawing, but I decided to just persist. I like this spread too. Felt like I needed to practice drawing hands, and it turned out a lot better than I expected. This is a woman eating an apple, and I made a print inspired by this. This is kind of like a little story. So it says, I got a lobotomy done at Toyotathon. And then this woman's like, her lobotomy was not done at Toyotathon. Okay. This guy's smoking a cigarette, and he's like, yeah, well, I got my lobotomy done the good old-fashioned way, cigarettes. And this person comes in and says, you are all uncultured. I got my lobotomy done like everybody else, scrolling through social media for 2 decades straight. Oh, that was funny. And again, just like a lot of frustration about like living in America, about genocide. So I'm just taking it out in the sketchbook with some shitty doodles, but that's good. This was from Imagination. Palestine. I decided to try and do like a little challenge for myself of like, there's 20 pages left in the sketchbook, let me try and fill it up as fast as I can in like a sketchbook a day. I didn't do it, but I was drawing like really cutesy, and I was at a market when I was drawing this. I remember this now. I was at a market, and so I was like trying to keep a good face, but it was a really bad day. I was writing down some like things that I was seeing in the news. You can pause to read. It was a really not good day. I hate this sketchbook spread. I hate these 2 pages. They're not good, but it's okay. Just gonna flip through. A lot of guilt. A lot of shame that I'm processing. Some blind contours. More blind contours. On this day, at the Gaza health food program, whatever, this is when the American soldiers gave Amir, this little boy, some food, and then they shot him. And I wrote down, the Americans met Jesus and they murdered him. It's very distraught. Coffee shop, blind contour. You can actually tell. I'm sitting at a coffee shop. I think that's awesome. I was getting a lot of comments from Zionists on my posts, and just had to take it out on paper. This was from a session on resistance with Yafa's Utopia, and I decided to draw her. I went to San Antonio, got some tacos, drew the taco place. I was driving in my car and was seeing like a lot of interesting people, so I pulled out my sketchbook and drew them from memory. And then this was my favorite place to get banh mi, so I drew it. I still miss that banh mi. I can't find banh mi in Jordan. And then this is, when I kind of accepted, like, okay, maybe I'm not going to be able to leave America. My lease ended the week of October 7th, and future me now, I ended up flying to Jordan on October 7th. So that was a very emotional day. And this is me kind of processing like that I'm leaving. And at this point, like, I know that I'm leaving because my lease is very close to being over. And I had to make a decision one way or another. I found this on the ground. I was getting an oil change, preparing to sell my car. Because at this point I decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to Jordan. Enough time has passed, flights were back on. And this is fabric, and then this was from pre-genocide. I used to paint with like a lot of colors, and so I had these paper towels that I used to dry off my brushes and take the paint off, and they kind of became like these abstract art pieces in themselves. And so I decided to paste them in my sketchbook because I was beginning to like really hunker down and pack and throw away and donate all the things. And so I wanted to keep these, but I didn't want to like pack them because it kind of felt ridiculous. So I put it in my sketchbook. Just kind of like a random page. I didn't end up really filling this one out. And then on the next page, at this point, I had booked my ticket to leave America. I paid my last months of rent. I gave them my notice that I was moving out. And I bought the ticket. And I pasted the ticket in page. So again, just pasting things in. I drew this in the beginning of the genocide, but I didn't really have anywhere to put it. And I decided to put it in my sketchbook. This is me drawing at the beach one last time. I want to say, this was like a few days or like a few weeks before I was leaving. So I was feeling really sad about leaving the beach, but very excited and very excited to leave. This was my last tattoo in Texas and in America on this day. Oh yeah, so no, I drew this yeah, like 2-3 weeks before I left. This was the last tattoo I did in Texas, and so it's from an ash juniper tree, and I went and I picked the sprig of ash juniper and drew it. This is the stencil, and this is the last page of my sketchbook, and I drew like a really shitty drawing. These were some sketches that I did in my sketchbook before a month before I was approaching the end of my sketchbook, because I was like, it's easier to approach the last page if I already have like random shitty ass drawings in here. And then these are the last pages, and I use this to like test my pens, and if my whiteout marker wasn't working, I'd come in here and scribble to get it to work again, so it's not necessarily pretty. If you're curious about what the purple pencil that I use throughout my sketchbook, it's this one. And then something I recommend for all artists to do, if you're like a little raccoon like me and you pick up a lot of like paper ephemera, paste in an envelope in the back of your sketchbook and put all the random shit that you find in there. And yeah, that's the end of my sketchbook. These are some stickers from some art pieces that I made during the beginning of the genocide. And that's it. So I don't know how much time I'm gonna have to get into this sketchbook. This is my 2020, like end of 2025, but beginning of 2026 sketchbook. I had this sketchbook for a really long time, but it's one of those sketchbooks that I bought and I was like, it's too pretty to use, so I didn't use it. And thankfully I got over that and I decided to use it. So I pasted in some just motivational stuff. Overcome procrastination because freedom is within you. We need you, we need your vision. Just some things to remind me like why I do what I do. So let's get into it. This is a statue of Kuan Yin. I decided to have that as the first page of my sketchbook. Never really got to finish it. So this was me on my flight to Jordan. Was drawing in the plane, drawing people while I was in my layover. I had like a really long layover, I think over 8 hours. It's pretty ridiculous, but this was my first night in Amman. My view out the window. My cousins started asking me to like draw things for them, and at this point, like I had been there for a week and I was feeling really antsy to like start drawing again. So they asked me to draw the gate to heaven, and this is actually from a dream that I had when I was a little kid. I dreamed of seeing the gates to heaven. This is one of my cousins. These are more things that they asked me to draw. They asked me to draw like the light coming from within somebody versus like somebody who's not good. Just some venting. This is eventually going to become a mural. And then I had a bunch of pens that I took with me, but when you fly, if you have like pens that are filled with ink, you have to depressurize them. And so like it was really thick. Normally it's a very thin brush pen, so I just started drawing with it so that I could depressurize it. And of course I'm at a coffee shop and I'm drawing people at the coffee shop. This was at my aunt's house and I was feeling out of place. Yeah, another coffee shop sketch. And then this is a sketch of a woman. My cousin took me to a hookah lounge and I hated it because there was a soccer game on, and in Jordan they really love their soccer and they will scream whenever they make a goal and whenever they don't. And this, I drew the blue shirt guy in motion. Doing some just studying of anatomy and movement. Some beautiful women. My dog wants me to take him back inside. I'm sitting outside. Do this. And this. This ended up becoming a mural. This little cat, I put him on a mural. This is done in rainbow pencil, and then because the black ink pen that I was using, it smudges a lot, especially after my flight. Like, I don't know what happened, but after the flight, this ink pen just really likes to smudge, and it puts out a lot of ink. I think it's because of the pressure that built up in it, but I put this piece of tracing paper over it as like a barrier, but then I also used it to make like a cool movement effect and to add some depth and stuff. Done with my rainbow pencil. I really like this drawing, it's very colorful. Some pretty women, more Crusher Joe. Love Crusher Joe. So like I said, like this ink pen smudges a lot. Like, I don't know, it used to not be like this. It's a I want to say no, it's a Pentel ink brush pen. It's my favorite, but yeah, it's just never been the same. So to protect my drawings, I just put that clear piece of tracing paper. Doing some studies, hands, movement, people walking. The light is starting to leave right now, so hopefully this is still good quality. This is a woman from the Maisu tribe, and I thought she was really beautiful, so I decided to draw her. This is a woman who does like fashion videos, a hijabi woman who does fashion videos on Instagram, and I decided to draw her. This is a girl from Instagram. She just posted about like Indian fashion, and I really like this picture, so I decided to draw her. And then here I am just kind of drawing from imagination. I don't know, not really my favorite. Not really my favorite spread. But the next page, I really do like. Again, putting the clear tracing paper over so nothing smudges, but this day, it was the first time I seen rain in Jordan. I used to come to Jordan exclusively in the summer, so I didn't really get to see the rainy season. And this is inspired by a woman who walked outside, and she was wearing a hat, and she took off her hat and she just stood in the rain in this pose and just let the rain fall on her. And so I was thinking about, like, maybe what is she thinking? God, wash it all away. Drew like a princess woman. This is my favorite graffiti artist, and I drew him in my sketchbook as if he's doing some graffiti in my sketchbook. His name is I Spy. This is inspired by Akira. Dude on a motorcycle. I'm losing light rapidly, so I'm gonna try and get through this pretty fast. This is a cat. I have some ideas about this stuff. I don't want to go showing you guys everything, but, you know, storyboarding some ideas that I have. Let's see. This was after my mom visited me in Jordan by surprise, and there's a whole backstory to this. I don't really want to get into it, but if you're a patron on Patreon, you know. I'm going to do that after, just to process some emotions that I had. Gonna skip a few pages here. This is kind of just like a random junk page. I didn't really like what I initially drew in there, but again, processing emotions. And then I started pasting stuff up on top. And so every time I get like a little random sticker or receipt or like random piece of paper, I just come in here and I paste it in. It's just a random page. This is after Abu Ubaidah, the news of Abu Ubaidah being murdered by the Israeli occupation came out, and I was just thinking about him a lot, and so I drew his hand. And I still need to finish this. I just don't really know where it's going. Then I'm at the coffee shop again. It's late at night. I feel like all my drawings are coming out like shit, so trying not to take it too personal, but I didn't really like it. Tried again the next day, and I felt like I was doing better, drawing some objects that I found at the coffee shop, like a chair and a vase. And then I had to redeem myself, so I drew this portrait, and I really like it. And then going back to like doing some figure studies, anatomy and movement, trying to capture movement in my sketchbook, trying to draw things that to me is kind of hard, so like feet and stuff like that. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this page, but this was at a coffee shop and I was just drawing people really fast. Sometimes I wasn't even looking at the paper. And doing more movement. These are from reference. Okay, I'm losing weight pretty fast, so let's see how far we can get before I have to go inside. More movement. My cousin said my sketchbook looks like a yoga class, and I agree. This is from life. This is a statue that I have. And then, I don't know if you can see, but I wrote down, this is my best sketchbook to date. I'm so proud of myself and the progress that I'm making. And I am. I'm really proud of myself. This is a statue in France, I believe. So I started drawing some statues. Let's see. I went out and took myself out for some Thai food. The Thai food was shit, but the place was really beautiful, so I decided to draw it. And then there's an antique store that I go to. I decided to draw the antique store, like some objects that they had at the antique store. Just a portrait, experimenting with like lines, lots of experimenting with lines and line weight and stuff like that. And in my old sketchbooks, I used to do stuff like this all the time, so I was feeling inspired by that. And do you remember the portrait of this girl from my first sketchbook? Fun fact, like when you do hookah and you buy the hookah aluminum foils, it comes with like these pieces of paper that separate each aluminum foil from each other. So this was one of the hookah foil paper covers, and it had stars on it, so I thought it was really pretty. So I pasted it in here. Then I took another one that was just like plain paper, and I drew her on it, and I cut her out and pasted it on top. This was from a lino cut that I did like a test, drawing some more antiques at the antique store, and one of the girls at the antique store, and then followed by some antiques. This is from a painting, just doing a little study of a little girl from this painting. These are some tattoos. I ended up tattooing this one, and finally we get to here. I'm still working on this page. I'm adding some more like spirals and stuff like that, but this says dream in Arabic, and this says wake up, wake up, wake up. And so I'm more than halfway through my sketchbook for 2026. It's been we're 2 months into 2026, and I'm probably going to finish this fairly soon. There's not a lot left in here. And then it's the same thing as my previous sketchbook in the last pages. This is where I do like tests for colors. These are watercolors. Have the Arabic alphabet in here in case if I ever need to like make some references and stuff like that. And then some more like motivational messages for myself. And again, have the envelope pasted in here so I can keep all my random paper ephemera with me. This was a sticker that was in my car before I sold my car, from Austin. And yeah, this is my sketchbook of 2026 so far. Hope you guys enjoyed the sketchbook tour. Thank you for watching.